Scarlet and Violet introduced one of the largest rosters of new Pokemon. 3 years later, I'm already nostalgic. And so as we creep closer to Generation 10, I'm thinking about how Game Freak has an opportunity to revisit and build upon great designs like Tinkaton, Gimmighoul, and the Charcadet line. What's going on, everyone? It's Dusty Go-Goat. Welcome back to my headcanon. Every new Pokemon generation is an opportunity for new designs, but also for Game Freak to break the rules. It's been refreshing to see Pokemon from newer generations get the spotlight, and I want to see this trend continue into Generation 10. This isn't the Kanto show anymore. So please, Game Freak, let's keep this train moving. The next time we get standard evolutions, regional forms, or even convergent Pokemon, I want the attention to be on Generation 9. All right, let's start with the Paldean starter Pokemon. I think this is a really solid group, but I was a little bit disappointed that they never received some sort of Terra-related power-up form like the Generation 8 starters. I propose that in this new Generation 10 region, these Pokemon would evolve to get new regional forms. Starting with the Fuecoco line, it would evolve and actually gain a fire and water typing. It now has blue flames to suggest that it's even hotter, but the blue flames are also a symbol of this Pokemon being the water type. Alligators live in water, obviously, and the bird that usually sits on Scovillain's snout could become a fish. And this is also something that we've never seen before, a starter Pokemon getting a dual typing with a type that would normally be for another starter Pokemon, water, fire, grass. You never see those mixed together. In this new region, Quaxly could evolve into Quaquaval, gaining the fairy type. The artist has deliberately given this new Pokemon a design that is reminiscent of a kimono, so now it would be one of those kimono dancers. Maybe this actually fits a Legends Johto game a little bit better. And honestly, missed opportunity. This would be so cool. Meowscarada could evolve to get a grass and steel type. Rather than focusing on tricks with illusion, instead, this Pokemon focuses on knife tricks. It's got these blades sticking out of its hands, very similar to what we see with Berserker. I love how the artist takes inspiration from the saber-toothed tiger, and it's got much more of a woolly coat. It looks like something that would live in a colder environment, or maybe it's like a steel wool coat. One of my favorite Generation 9 Pokemon is Tandemaus, and I think it deserves a new split evolution. And of course, these Pokemon have cosmetic forms, but what if the 3-family Mousehold evolved again into a normal and dark type Pokemon called Mouse Spoiled? But first, let me tell you about today's sponsor. Arena Club's slab packs let you expand your collection instantly with real graded cards you can see, trade, or ship right to you, where your cards actually exist. They're authenticated, protected, and beautifully displayed. Check out this Deoxys card I just pulled. The Ruby Pokemon maybe it's a Gen 3. Oh, Deoxys is so sick. Coming off of Legends EA, so many great Mega Evolutions in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. This card's going to my collection. I've been collecting Pokemon cards for literally as long as I can remember. The earliest memory might be ripping a Neo era pack at a local mall before going to the movies, but I gotta be honest with you, most of these cards from my childhood, I have no idea where they ended up. They're gone, and the cards I still have are boxed up in storage somewhere. And what I've realized is the beauty of Arena Club is that I can actually see my collection anytime. And that's the whole point of collecting, enjoying what you've built. For anyone who collects or wants to get into it, Arena Club just makes collecting feel simple, modern, and organized. You can browse new slab packs starting at $25, and you always know exactly what's inside each drop thanks to their transparent checklists. You can sell, trade, or even accept an instant market value offer for your cards right there on the platform. Right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/DustyGoGoat and using code DustyGoGoat. I've been collecting cards the old-fashioned way for too long. Arena Club is like stepping into another dimension for collectors. Links are in the description and in the pinned comment. Thank you so much to Arena Club for sponsoring this video. All right, let's get back to Tandemaus. What if the 3-family Mousehold evolved again into a normal and dark type Pokemon called Mouse Spoiled? This art depicts the single mouse basically becoming the stereotype of a spoiled only child. The singular mouse gets huge, right? Basically carrying its parents. The parents look miserable. The child looks angry. This design makes me laugh so much. The child just eats all day and throws its parents at the opponent, assuming this would be in battle. Tandemaus and Mousehold are adorable designs, but I do feel like something like this could add a lot to the Pokemon line. Alternatively, I could see there being a regional Mousehold or Tandemaus. This artist depicted Tandemaus as a poison type Pokemon. You know, mice typically are associated with disease. I believe this design takes inspiration from the Rat King myth, where basically two mice get their tails tied together, which is already kind of what we see with Tandemaus. But then basically what happens is, as this Pokemon evolves, it's honestly kind of dark and gruesome, but one of them just keeps collecting all these dead mice, right? And when it gets this regional evolution, Mouse King, it actually gains the ghost type. This mouse has longer whiskers. It's got 2 earrings to make it look kind of tough. It's got these beady, glowing yellow eyes and a chewed off ear, and it's standing on the bodies of all of these Tandemaus that have passed on. Pretty dark design. I also like that this deviates away from the normal typing. Over the years, Gimmighoul has really grown on me. I'll admit it, I was a first class Golden Go hater, primarily because the Pokemon did not live up to the expectations that I had for the evolutionary line in my mind. A little ghoul that collects coins, I thought it would evolve to become sort of chest mimic, just like this abhorrent monster. But I think there's an opportunity for Gimmighoul to get a split evolution, evolving into a dragon and steel type Pokemon. In fantasy, dragons are always hoarding and protecting their treasure. Gimmighoul that are influenced by dragon energy would evolve to take on the form of a serpentine dragon, and this Pokemon would entirely be made up of gold coins. I think Squishy Art did such a great job of keeping this Pokemon appearing like it's still part of the evolutionary line, like it still looks related to Golden Go. It's got these golden wings that really wouldn't do anything. This Pokemon would probably still scurry along the ground. This design is so clever and serves as a nice alternative to anyone who might have just been turned off by the Golden Surfer. Well, what if Gimmighoul was this little gingerbread insect little creature, right? Gimmighoul is already pretty weird. Make it a fairy and ghost type, right? And instead of collecting gold coins, it actually goes around and collects chocolate gold coins. Instead of a gold chest, it hangs out in this little candy bag. I think this is so cute. Its antenna look like candy canes. And yeah, like I said, it looks like a gingerbread man. And instead of hoarding all of the gold coins, it actually eats all of the gold coins. And it becomes this overly stuffed Pokemon that looks like it's made of chocolate. I think we've all been there and can relate to this Pokemon. Again, the contrast to the original Gholdengo design is great. Rather than being this slender surfer Pokemon, this thing looks like it'd be a lot more tanky. I also love the fairy and ghost type. I know that's a good type competitively. Charcadet and its evolutions is another great line that was introduced in Generation 9. I always saw a lot of similarities between Charcadet and Pokemon like Tyrogue. I actually don't even know why Charcadet is not a baby Pokemon. I would love to see Charcadet get additional evolutions that vary in typing. We obviously got Ceruledge and Armarouge, which are ghost and psychic type respectively. They keep the fire typing, but I would love to see additional evolutions. Maybe we have a fire and steel type. This one could be called Babarod. There's also Tsunami, which would be another fire and water type Pokemon. I think this is so cool. There's a lot of similarities here. I feel like this design was based on the Clauncher line, but maybe that's actually how it evolves. Maybe similar to the armor that Ceruledge and Armarouge need in order to evolve, right? They get those armors from Pokemon. Maybe you need to collect the shell armor of Clauncher and its evolution in order to evolve this Pokemon. This thing looks like Mega Man, or it looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh type hero creature. I think it's super cool. And then we also have Kunite. Kunite would be fire and dark type, which plays with these floating kunai, which are like ninja daggers. We need more. I want more armored based combat Pokemon. These like swordsman type Pokemon are so cool. This is Duralava, the fire and ground type evolution for Charcadet. Another beautiful design by the Ondu region. If you carry 10 Golett fragments, you can exchange them for a Golem armor, which would allow Charcadet to evolve into Duralava. You can see the patterns of the Golett. That's something that's really cool about any sort of armor evolution, right? You can see the held item attached to the new evolution's body. You can see actually elements of Golett in the Pokemon. Its body is made of rock and magma. These Pokemon are very obedient and I can see them being used to dig deeper and deeper to fulfill the greed of the humans in their area. Okay, I'm gonna indulge just one more time with a Charcadet evolution. This is Hydralgon, a fire and dragon type. Charcadet will evolve when it's exposed to the scale armor. I imagine the scale armor is comprised of Drudagon scales. Hydralgon is a symbol of royalty. He was the companion of kings, nobles, and renowned generals in medieval times. Just like Armarouge, I could see this Pokemon firing dragon beams from its arm cannons. Now we've got a Pokemon that a lot of people originally said either shouldn't have an evolution or its evolution is a little bit redundant. This Pokemon by Mr. DJ Walnut, Brambleghast, would be an evolution for either Bramble or Brambleghast. I do see it more as maybe a held item evolution where Brambleghast evolves into this thing. I like that it keeps the shape. Like, this is what a lot of Pokemon designs do, right? They take one element of the previous form and reinterpret it, or use the shape or silhouette or color, right, in another part of the final evolution's body. It doesn't just grow bigger, but the design elements are used in different ways. So you can see like the formation of its head of this like twister dust buster. It's like a dusty ghost, but the head of it is made up of what Brambleghast looks like. But then you can also see all these different Brambleghast shapes throughout its body, creating the silhouette of its body. Its hands are basically what the same type of plant material that Bramblin is based on. I think this is a really great design. If something like this was introduced, 100% I would use it on my team. These are the kind of designs that felt missing from the Paldean decks. This next design we have is a cross-gen evolution for Tadbulb. Tadbulb is the Generation 9 Tadpole Pokemon. It's electric type and it evolves into Bellibolt. But what if Tadbulb could evolve into a zombie? This is Zombolt. It's an electric and ghost type Pokemon. I love that it is the exact opposite of Bellibolt. Bellibolt is a lively, energetic, plump frog Pokemon. Zombolt is the exact opposite. It's got a very neutral emotion. Its anatomy resembles a skeleton. And I feel like the play here is that Zombolt is a dead battery. If this whole line is about electricity, what if you don't have that power anymore? What would happen to the Pokemon? Well, it dies. I also like that it can inflate its arms, that same like plasma ball look. Matches the original Bellibolt's belly. I'm gonna throw this next one in. Definitely not needed. Baby Pokemon kind of are dex filler, but I feel like there are some standalone single stage Pokemon that could have some pretty adorable preforms. This is Flamingo, which I'm pretty sure means baby in Spanish. Flamingo is just a flying type, and then when it evolves into Flamigo, which is obviously flying and fighting type. This design is really great because it doesn't just look like a small Flamigo, it actually has its own color palette. It takes the rubbery knot around Flamigo's neck and creates a new design element to make this baby form look as if it can't swim, which is true, right? Babies can't swim. Even this baby Flamingo can't swim. So you can see right here, Flamingo is just floating behind its parent. And once it finally evolves, it's then tall enough to no longer need the floaty because it can just stand. If Game Freak is listening, I really do want more baby Pokemon. The only baby Pokemon that we got in the last like 15 years was Toxel in Generation 8. I think another option is to give Scovillain new regional forms or convergent forms. Scovillain is a spicy pepper Pokemon, but there are a lot of fruits and vegetables that this thing could be based on. I think very easily Scovillain could be reimagined as a lemon and lime Pokemon. Lemon and lime are paired together, they're both citrus, and I think it works too perfect, right? You could make this Pokemon grass and electric type, which mirrors the green and yellow color. Truthfully, I think this Pokemon would actually just be a key lime because key limes are either green or yellow depending on how ripe they really are. You could even give Capsakid a regional form while you're at it and have it evolve into this new Scovillain with a Thunderstone. And then what if you were to cool off Scovillain, right? Make it a grass and ice type. What would that look like? I think it would look like this Pokemon right here. Its leaves now resemble a scarf. It kind of looks like a candy cane. The pink and green kind of look like Christmas colors. And you could even classify this cold Scovillain as the chili pepper Pokemon. Fidough is an interesting Pokemon. I love that they've been continuing to add food-based fairy type Pokemon. And when this Pokemon was introduced, there was a lot of speculation about how it would evolve. Obviously, a Pokemon based on dough would need heat to cook and then finally evolve. We really didn't see any of that in the final game, but I do think there's possibility for us to get a regional form. Make Fidough a fairy and fire type. This regional form is based off of a churro. This regional Fidough gets a new regional evolution into Churover. This Pokemon is based on a completely different dog. It's a lot more slender. You can see at the tip of its tail and its ears, there is steam releasing from the inside of this bread. Churover is a little bit of a goofy dog. We got a lot of goofy dogs in Generation 9, but I really like the regional variation that we see in even Fidough. Cetitan and Cetitan are very weird because their whole concept is based on a land whale. Well, what happens if you take that land whale and you put it back in the water? Obviously, it becomes water type. I think this Pokemon could have remained as an ice type, or maybe they could give it steel typing. Water steel type would be very good. This Pokemon is naturally bulky. This new regional Cetitan would evolve with a water stone. This is another design that I think could exist or be conceptualized to fit within the Paldean region in a different time period. What if the Tinkaton line didn't have access to modern metal crafting, right? I guess if there was no access to Corviknight, this Pokemon wouldn't be able to get any of these metal scraps, and it would have to rely on different minerals in order to make its weapons. This Pokemon looks as if it's using rocks, but I think what this actually is it's using bones. This Pokemon's using bones. So the rock type is really a reference to fossilization. This Pokemon is fairy rock type, so it keeps the fairy type. And this shade of blue or turquoise reminds me of ice. So I'm getting the idea that these Pokemon would exist in some sort of ice age or post-ice age where the Paldean region is very, very cold and they collect the bones of Pokemon to make their weapons, jewelry, and crown. All right, next we have a regional form for Flittle and Espathra. I think Flittle and Espathra are deliberately based on ostriches, on ostrich chicks, but I do think they have a lot of design elements that look more like underwater sea life, like squids, octopus. And because they're on land, I honestly get a huge alien vibe from these Pokemon. It actually has eyelashes. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a bird with eyelashes. And Espathra has a wig. Have you ever seen a bird with hair? My main theory is that while these Pokemon are based on ostriches and other large birds, I feel like that outward design is really a decoy. Think of Wobbuffet, right? The theory around Wobbuffet is that the big blue blob, the main body of Wobbuffet, is really just a decoy for the tail, which is really just its shadow. This regional form for Espathra and Flittle kind of helped conceptualize my theory and my thought process when it comes to this Pokemon. This regional form is pure ghost type, and this regional Flittle evolves into a Pokemon called Fledged. This form of Espathra looks more like a ghost, right? The tail feathers, the ribbons, the quote-unquote feathers of Espathra now look like your classic white ghost. And the true form, the true head of this Pokemon is its tail. You can see this tail lashing out from behind. It looks like the beak and the skull of a dead bird. This channel has seen so much growth in the last month, and you're gonna wanna subscribe if you're new. I've got a lot of really big videos in the works, and one of them is a massive video with Hoops and Hip Hop where we outline our ideal Pokemon Legends Galar game. You're not gonna wanna miss it. Subscribe and check out the Patreon if you're interested in making videos like this possible.